Annoying.
Sorry.
Hey.
Hey. Back in action. Back like I left my car keys. This time.
What does that mean?
Like, you leave your car keys like inside. Like I'm back I left my car keys. Ow.
Is that a song?
Nah, Michael Rainey said it.
Okay. I know who Michael Rainey is.
Listen.
Actually Michael Rainey Jr., but anywho.
That's with the backwards cap today. What's the vibe, gang?
Oh my goodness. Hey y'all.
How's everyone doing today? I'm happy to be back. Thoughts and prayers?
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. It's been like a month, literally. A straight month.
It was a much needed break.
That's up to you, I guess.
Well, I would say so.
I don't think it was a much needed break, honestly.
What do you think it was?
I think it was just hiccups in the road for a few people. And so we just didn't do it.
Oh my gosh.
I don't necessarily think that it was like a serious reason why it wasn't happening.
No, you're right.
But
you're right. It wasn't it's just a lot of schedule conflict.
Yes. Only for you.
Oh my goodness. Hey, Auntie Dana. Oh my gosh. Hi, Jacob. Hi, Kiana.
How's everyone doing today? Everybody came in their suits. Even women, pantsuits. Everybody come in their suits and ties.
We're talking business today. Well, we haven't done a little check-in. So how are you doing?
Honestly, I'm doing okay. I'm not doing bad nor good. But I'm more on the positive side, I would say.
That's good.
Summer's been going well since I got out of school.
Summer is flying by.
Did a few things that I'm proud of. There's a few things I'm not proud of. So I guess you can't really, I'm not gonna measure it in numbers, but it's all right. You?
That's okay. I'm feeling good. I feel like I could be better. Only just because it's just such busy times right now. I'm just tired. Like I be tired every day. But I did take one of those. We went to a juicer store, like a juice place, and they have like these energy shots, I guess they're called. I don't know if that's right, but they like the small ones that's like natural juice. And they gave me a lot of energy yesterday. So I'm hoping if I take them, it's not because oh my gosh. It gave me a lot of energy. So it was an energy boost for sure. So I think I need to take more of those. But other than that,
what's the word?
New hairstyle.
Can I shout out my mans in peace?
Oh my goodness.
What's the word, Aunt? Hey mother.
Aunt is crazy.
What you mean? That's what we call them.
Kiana said I was going through withdrawals. We missed y'all too, man.
We're back.
All right, but yeah, I think this was a good topic to jump back into because with you being in school and me, technically I'm still in school, but I think this topic definitely affects both of us.
Yeah.
But maybe more so me. But so what we getting into today?
Especially with the height of the young mind being affected. A lot of our role models are not showing the youth the right path. So I think that this topic is a good way to steer people's minds to where it's supposed to be. So on that, we know a lot of legal action has been going on in the U.S. that has pertained to us, the youth.
You're the youth, but continue.
You're 20, what, 9?
25.
No. So a lot of stuff has been going on for the youth as in us. Anything under 40 is the youth. You agree? That's pretty young. Anyways, so a lot of rulings have been happening and it's been a lot of controversy going on, especially in the Supreme Court and their decisions recently that have affected students, that have affected people of color, and us. Which is super important for us to talk about.
For sure.
So I think we should jump right into it.
Yeah, let's get it. Let's start with the affirmative action one first.
Right, affirmative action. Talk about what that means a little bit.
Okay, so I mean, just a brief background, I guess. Affirmative action is basically put in place so that people from underrepresented or marginalized communities can receive some sort of equity when it comes to different parts of our system in America. So you'll see it in education, which is the one we're focusing on now. So
jobs.
Jobs. I know I'm not sure of the other areas, but I know it's always talked a lot about within schools and education and stuff. And it's necessary because without it, naturally, people who are from underrepresented communities are going to get certain opportunities. Like that's just what it is because we live in America. So you need stuff put in place so that it can help to like balance the scale.
Exactly. Balance itself out.
Yeah.
And with the whole affirmative action thing, it was created because race started to be put into play when doing certain things.
Right.
You know, affirmative action is only created because there was a imbalance
in the
way that
power,
people were being treated. You know, people were being excluded from things, so you had to find a way to then be included. You know,
forcefully, because people aren't going to just do it by the in the kindness of their heart. So the Supreme Court did what?
The Supreme Court decided that race in admissions, you know, race conscious decisions
for college,
for college is now it's over. Like race is not a factor, you know, in admissions when you apply to college for students. They decided that in higher education programs, in the affirmative action.
Jacob told me I'm pushing 30.
That is true.
No, I'm 20. 30. I feel like I'm 28. That's pushing 30. But
25, you just round up. That's 30. That's how math works.
Okay.
But yeah, race won't be a factor in admissions anymore when applying to colleges. And actually, I learned that it's only for certain institutions. It's not. It's not for every college in the U.S. It only happens usually for higher education, where that standard is then kind of like where you would need it the most, I guess. Exactly. Yeah. So that's what's going on, right? So what I was thinking though, and I wanted to bring up this question for the people watching and you is, do you think that affirmative action in its own sense creates a sense of inequality? Like, do you want me to explain, or you kind of get what I'm trying to say?
Kind of. You're saying like, are you saying that it makes things unfair?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it doesn't make things unfair, but I'm saying, right, hypothetically speaking, I want everyone to be equal. The Constitution says everybody's supposed to be equal. We know that everyone is equal, but you know, people do not perceive things that way.
Yes.
Right. So affirmative action creates a way that minorities in general can be put in those positions. But do you think in the mind game of the world or the US that then creates minorities
to always be
right?
I would say no, only because like that's like a utopia way of looking at life. And I think that if you want to be realistic, stuff is just not going to change at the rate that we feel like it would. So I think you need stuff like that, because without it, tomorrow are things going to be equal? No.
Right.
So I think that you have to have it so that it forces people to make sure that people are treated fairly.
Okay, but then in the bigger scheme, do you think things will always just not
be leveled out?
Right. Because like if you because you were pushing for something to then you know, make things fair, would it then create a sense of inequality in the minds of others? And then there would never be it would never get to equality in its own sense. Like,
no, I see what you're saying. I guess it's the same thing with like it's the same thing what people say with diversity in certain places now. When you force it, it doesn't really mean that stuff is getting better. It's just that people are like trying to check a box. So maybe people who the whole affirmative action thing makes people feel like you're just checking a box and it's just like not really making things equal.
Yeah.
I mean, I can kind of see it that way, but honestly, I mean, I would still say no.
Yeah.
I would still say no, because if things haven't changed by now, then I don't think it ever will.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with what I'm saying either. I was just
I see what you're trying to say.
I think that those things should be put in place, because honestly, things are going to continue to be unfair without pushing those type of things, you know, willingly or not.
Because I wanted to, when we were talking about affirmative action and just like them trying to get rid of it, one place that they're trying to get rid of it at, because would it being put in place, for example, like at the school I went to, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, it would make sure that they were accepting minorities, because they were historically known for not doing so.
Right.
So, like, for example, with me,
let's talk about that.
So when I was a senior in high school, right? This is story time.
Story time.
Senior in high school, I applied to 10 schools. My number one school was UNC Chapel Hill, because I wanted to pursue sport management. I didn't get in. I was pissed because I'm like, I know I should have gotten into UNC. I was like, there's no way, because I literally studied my butt off in high school, and I tried to do everything I was supposed to do so that I can get into the school I want to get into. I didn't get in, so I ended up going to Seton Hall University. Finished my first year with a 3.9.
Okay, talk.
Just want to put that out there.
Yeah, you didn't have to flex.
But so, anyways, while I was there, I feel like it was maybe like at the end of my first semester, kind of. My mom receives a letter in the mail, right?
I remember this letter.
Okay, she receives a letter in the mail. I might be forgetting some parts. This is what I remember. So basically, in the letter, it was saying it was some like law firm that was about to sue UNC Chapel Hill because they saw that they were accepting white kids that had lower accomplishments and like credentials and everything than certain black kids who weren't getting accepted. And so they wanted to ask my parents if they could use my application in their case, in their lawsuit, because they could see that if they lined my stuff up against people who were getting accepted, I had higher things than everybody. So if these were the things they were basing us on to get accepted into, why I was not getting in, or people like me too, right? So my mom was pissed, of course, because I was like, I knew I should have gotten in. So anyways, fast forward, she ended up talking to like the dean of students and all these different people. And so they ended up being like, okay, tell her to apply the transfer. We want to make this right. So that's how I ended up getting in.
Yeah.
But that's a prime example of, even though we had affirmative action, they still was finding ways not to accept people. But I'm trying to say all that to say, like, that's why you need stuff, because if you don't, then they're going to continue to get away with it.
Sure.
So basically with affirmative action, they were able to sue them. But now that you don't have it, they can just continue to do stuff like that, and it won't matter to nobody.
Yeah. And I have a question I wanted to ask you. With that, in your case, and I know we kind of talked about this earlier, how can you, wouldn't there always be people that claim reverse discrimination with the affirmative action? Like, where people will say, well, I'm being discriminated now if they're allowing, let's say, 16 out of 100 applicants have to be
like minority.
And people claim, reverse discrimination.
Yeah.
Now, what I wanted to ask you is, with those, because I was reading up, and some of the white applicants won some of those cases, claiming that like basically the same thing African Americans and minorities were doing. It was just flipped.
The reverse,
right?
Yeah.
And I want to ask you is, wouldn't that just be an ongoing process? Because it's like, how can you measure the level of discrimination through the college admissions? Wouldn't there always be uncertainty?
For sure. And I think that's always going to take place, because people who accept people, it's a human being.
Yes.
Like, people who look at applications are humans. The only way I could see if they do it is like blind application. Like, I imagine it as like The Voice or something, where you're literally like, there's no names, no nothing. But even still, that gets a little like janky, because you can probably still like search up high schools and like search up certain things to like try to figure out who somebody is. But that's the only way I can see it being fair, is if it's like no type of identification at all. But that's not what they're doing. It's not like that. Because I always say, I met so many people where it's like their mom went to that school, their dad, their cousins, their brothers, everybody. And then it doesn't seem like it's the same thing for everybody else. So it's just like something is weird that's happening. But I don't know.
Yeah. Because I was thinking, how do you measure discrimination into like the affirmative law?
I mean, I guess it's if you like line something up. Okay, because you can't accept everybody. Right. We know this.
That's true.
But if there's a trend, I think that's how the lawsuit can come about. If there's a trend of it. We're not saying one off, because of course everybody not gonna get in. Like, just because you got an A and I got an A minus, that's not racist. If I got in and like somebody else, you know what I'm trying to say? But if it's like a trend that keeps on happening, it was a whole batch of students, which it was like a whole batch of minorities who weren't getting accepted for no reason, that's suspect. So to me, it's like the discrimination has to lie within the race question on your application. Yeah. Like, there's
and it's odd. It's odd because it never was a problem when it was just all white applicants getting in.
Exactly. No, like no one says anything about
back in the day. Like, all white applicants were getting in, and there weren't many African Americans. Then when the law is now, it's like now they're not. Right.
Or even if like a black person, or like let's just say it's not always black. Let's just say if a Hispanic person has a team and they're all Hispanic, somebody's going to say this person is only trying to hire Hispanic people. It's like, but the whole office is white and nobody says anything. Exactly. Like, that's just the norm.
That's what I'm saying.
So
it's just weird that is only brought up when the voice has shifted. Now you're trying to make things fair in its own sense. It may not still be equal across the whole board, but it's more fair than it was prior. But then now it's a problem.
Yeah.
Alongside with the people that say that now they can't get in.
You know? So do you think what do you do you see that there's a negative? Is there a negative thing about like maybe PWIs staying PWIs, but you know, or in like kids just having to go to HBCUs? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, what?
Mm-hmm. You know, it's odd with the PWI HBCU thing, right?
Like, which is predominantly white.
That whole predominantly white institutes. That whole argument of why can't white people, like, people look at white people against HBCUs like it's weird, and because they're like, this was for African American students, that's what it should be. And I don't know. I agree with it. Like, it is a little weird when you see like a white person at HBCU. It's a little weird, but like for them wanting to go there. Yeah. Right. But then at the same time, it's like, well,
I feel like it's different only because
I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that the predominantly white institutions were created for black people, minority people not to get in. Right. HBCUs were for African Americans and minorities to get in. So it's a big difference. Like, it was created not to, the other one was created to.
Exactly. So I feel if minorities are trying to get into a PWI, that should be okay because you're trying to break like the discrimination about it. Yes. And because, of course, like, if we even scratch just what the different schools are, just in general, those schools usually have more opportunities. Yeah. So they just happen to be predominantly white, but no one's looking at it as like, I want to go to a white school. It's more so I'm just trying to have these opportunities. Right. I didn't go there saying, oh yeah, I want to be around more white people. It was, they have a program that I want to go to. If I ain't gonna say Howard because I never want to go there. If like FAMU had the best sport management program, I will go there. Like, it's not that, you know what I'm trying to say?
So that's the question I'm trying to ask. On someone who is not African American that wants to go to an HBCU, is that, I don't see a problem with that. Do you see a problem with it?
I don't think I see a problem. I just think because those spaces were created as like a safe space doesn't mean that they can't be there. I just think that, like, I don't think it should be the same as, we shouldn't look at the two as the same because it's two different situations.
It is.
So like I said, I'm not that person to be like, oh, it's weird, but like, it's like a person trying to be a part of like NAACP, which is the remember that lady was trying to act like she was black? And
that was crazy.
Like, it's like stuff like that. Like, what is your purpose of doing that? You know, this is supposed to be a space created for black people, or like a white person being like, why can't I be a part of Black Student Union? That's weird. You know what I'm trying to say? Okay. Like, even though the thing is created for like anybody, but you know what the intention is for. So.
I agree. I feel when those spaces are kind of invaded, it's less, like, it's so many other opportunities for other races to do things.
That's what I'm saying.
Then, like, to want to be in that space,
it just feels very weird.
It feels kind of odd.
But either way.
Yeah, I don't see it as a huge problem, but I don't really know how to gauge that.
Yeah, I mean,
we went far off.
Yeah,
from the action.
Oh yeah, no.
But I think it's still all kind of like coincides together.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does because it's stuff that's happening in real time.
And now that it's gone, what will we see? What would the trend be now for students after us?
Exactly.
Now will it be back to all minorities being pushed to these HBCUs again?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
it should be a choice.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like these little steps are like small breaking points in society and in the things that we have to continue to live through. Like, they're just being picked apart, so then slowly things will be separated further and further as the days go along. The first time it's affirmative action, then the next time private business owners can discriminate against LGBTQ plus,
right?
And the next time it's going to be they can discriminate who anybody want in their business. It's going to be little things that will break,
that will
slowly happen, that will break things right back down. Then things are going to have to be rebuilt back to where they were again. I think as the world is expanding, the larger groups' minds are getting smaller,
right?
In a sense, like,
I think too that people it's weird that like the world is shifting more to like being more diverse and all this, but like everything else is like moving backwards.
Yes,
and that's just so weird. Like, it's going the opposite direction.
I feel like this diversity thing. I'm not saying like a conspiracy theory, but I feel like this diversity thing is being pushed in your face for it to seem like that. But really, we all know who really and who they want to still be on top,
right?
At the end of the day,
yeah, for sure.
It's like, yeah, everything's diverse.
Even with like
diverse, but
even with Pride Month and stuff, it's like last year during the pandemic, all the companies was so on board, or even with like the Black history movements or just small businesses, all that stuff. And I feel like I haven't heard anything about none of that this year. Like it's completely shifted the whole everything.
Yeah, and I know this sounds very plain of me, but when companies and businesses do things like to push that type of thing, it makes it feel separated. Because you do it only for this time period. You only care for this time period. And for the rest of the time, I feel like if everything was incorporated together, it would be less.
Yeah, like I don't think
less reason to identify in this time, for that company to be this.
I see it both ways. I guess the other way I see it too is like if you don't, then people are kind of like invisible without people trying. Like say if you weren't intentional about making sure that you highlighted Women's History Month, then we're just gonna hope that someone mentions it in November. Like, I'm trying to say, it's like sometimes you gotta have certain stuff only so that it forces people to acknowledge it, and then hopefully after that it'll just become we don't have to wait till February to talk about something that's like to have a Black person come speak at the school. That doesn't have to happen in February. You know what I mean? Like how you're saying, let's just let it happen. Yeah, exactly. But it's always just like, let's just wait to do Pride in June. Let's wait to do Women's Month in March. Let's wait to do Black History in February. It's like, no, how about if we have a topic in September and we want a Black person to talk about it, let them talk about it. Like how you're saying. But either way, the other one I know that the Supreme Court, they were just.
Oh yeah.
First of all, I just want to say, does anybody want to move to Canada with me? Anybody?
Nope, no. One wants to move.
I want to move to Canada badly.
Nobody wants to move to anywhere.
Toronto, preferably.
But I do have an odd take on this one. And again, this is the Biden's loan forgiveness, his plan when he was running for campaign. This is what he said.
Which he did pass.
That's what he said he would do. But it's steps.
I know.
Just because
I'm just saying he's not the one who said. Okay, continue.
Just because it passed once, it ain't gonna get past the rest. But okay.
I know that's what people don't understand. But
and the people who are in the Supreme Court was put in by Trump. So it's a lot of these laws. That's how
exactly. That's why they were hoping.
Really deep. It is really deep.
That's why they were hoping that two of them didn't pass away. So because I think it was John Lewis and
the lady.
Yeah, the Rudy. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Please be quiet. Okay. I have a weird take on this, right? Because it was supposed to. They said the loan forgiveness were people who were who can get the Pell Grant, which is low income Pell Grants for low income students, and say it was about 43 million Americans, right? But this is my take on
which, and they would forgive what was it, up to 10,000?
Yeah, 10,000, 20,000. I think that was the range.
Yeah, I think it depended on.
But I have a little a weird take on this.
Okay.
Loan forgiveness is needed, I believe, right?
Yes.
But I'm in college. You was in college. They send you those tuition notices in a contract format that you sign on that says you will have to pay this when you leave.
Right.
I know that things are set up for people to fail. We all know this. But if you decide to say, yes, I'm going to pay the loan, how in theory can you complain after? Because it's like you see it, you say, I'm going to pay it after. Now you're saying, oh, I can't pay it. It's too much. Well, I understand, but there are other routes to get education. Community college is cheaper.
I mean, obviously, DeAndre, but if somebody this is too much. This is a big scale question.
It is a big because it's a lot of things that
it's
go
a lot
into
of layers
this.
Because
it is. It is a lot of things that go into this. That's besides just signing the paper,
right? Because of course you do it because you're you just want the education now, and you be like, I'll just figure out how to pay it after. And yes, I agree. First of all, they shouldn't make college that expensive to begin with.
That is true.
So it's a vicious cycle for one. How can someone take out a $200,000 education loan, but you can't even buy a home? If you don't got certain credit and all you can't even get the same amount of loan for something that's actually good in your life.
Yeah.
So to say all that to say, I understand what you're saying. You sign a dotted line, then that means you got to pay it back. But I thought it was a good idea because Biden or whoever understood that how important education is. So what can we do to make it easier for people to achieve?
True.
One thing we could do is help them with the loan part of it.
That is true.
Because you can't in real time change how much it costs in theory. because of America. But like, what can we do to help people out a little bit, or just helps people like with their future plans? You in all this debt now, you can't buy a home, or now you can't move nowhere. Now you can't have kids. Like, I think it was just trying to help the overall life of someone's like trajectory. That's why I think it was a good idea.
Yeah, and I again, I believe.
And there are a lot of things where it's like, well, you agreed. Like,
yeah, that's true. I was just bringing that up, but I don't necessarily agree with that either. But I love. Do
you think loans are? Do you think the purpose of do you think that there's a good thing of college being so selective? Like, do you you know how something that's more harder to like attain or get makes it more
valuable.
Has more value to it.
Supply and demand.
Do you think that that's a good thing?
They do that on purpose.
But I'm saying do you think that's a good?
I think that is a bad thing.
Okay.
I think it is a bad thing because people preach, go to college, you gotta get your diploma. That's how you get a job.
Yeah.
So of course they're gonna price up to the sky because they're telling you that that's the only way you can get a job is by getting a college diplma.
Exactly.
So they're gonna make the money super high and make you pay super high because you really want it.
Like if companies said, "Oh, you don't need it,"
people would. If not every, but 50% of companies say you don't have to go to college to get this job, the rates in college students would drop like so quick.
Right.
So it's a setup. It's kind of like they tell you have to go to college. You go to college. You gotta get your diploma, so I gotta pay the loan, and then I gotta pay all this money after in debt because that's the only way that in your mind you can succeed.
Right, because it's like,
which is kind of true though.
And like Mike said, it's not true. They lock you in. You kind of have no choice. It's so true. It's like you have a choice to if you want to pay it or not, but you really don't. If you want to have this opportunity, you sign and you just like I'll think about it afterwards because right after them 6 months, they come looking for you for them payments, and it's just like yo.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of sad that the Senate.
Supreme Court. 6-3.
Denied it. Yeah, 6-3 because they're idiots.
But I honestly don't think that they cared about the students. First of all, it was $430 billion. That's a lot of money. But I don't think they did it for the students. I think they did it
for the bank.
No, they well maybe, but they did it so that it would be harder because Biden's trying to run again. And that was his mission. So if you deny it, then that's like a big setback,
like something he couldn't accomplish.
Right. So it's like it hinders people that were putting money into it. And, like that you borrow money from the banks, the big corporations. Now they're like, I'm not supporting this dude. So it's like a two-way. It's like, yeah, we don't want to give you all this money. One, and then two, we don't want to see you.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever the intention was never like I don't want these people to be happy. Right. But I do think that there is some like conspiracy theory. That they always want there to be a middle class. They always want there to be like a lower class because they need those people to do the, the things in life that I guess people don't want to do. And not even that really, just they want people to stay at a certain level and not like get up higher in life.
That's true.
And taking away a loan from someone would immediately help them. And there was studies on that too, that most people who have loans are people of color. So if you take away loans and people don't have them anymore, it's like, you have a whole group of people now who can raise up in the ranks of like life, and that's what I'm saying. It's like strategic.
Bro, people think that stuff is BS, man. That stuff is
not.
True,
it's so true, and so it really sucks. Like it's sad for real. Like when you think about it, but
yeah, it's just like
again in Canada, I think you get free education.
Yeah, and then
Kiana said she would move with me.
What was the happiest country in the world?
Finland.
Yeah, they got free too.
I actually might move out.
But then that creates a middle class like throughout. You think you could live like that? We kind of talked about that. Like
yeah, we kind of did.
Do you think that you could just live in like that life? Like you go to work, you leave. Like there's no capitalism aspect where you can reach the top of the top. It's just everybody's.
I mean, but if this
is
happier than if I'm here, no problem. I have no problem.
But I guess you'll never know.
But you just won't never know. Anyway,
I don't like that. Everybody's.
I don't mind it because it's like. No one's competing with no one, and who's to say they're lazy? It's just more of
but
you're just happy with where your life is.
You don't think that would create lazy people? Who knows that everything?
It's a soft life.
Yeah. But then it's no grind.
No, and what's wrong with that?
Maybe people would get bored and just start. Bored and start riding. Like
that's not happening there though.
People's minds are just.
Why do people steal from people?
Because they want what they have.
Why do people Why is violence so high? Because they hate themselves. Why do you hate yourself? Because you don't have things that you want. If everybody had what they needed.
So, but that you're thinking like a communist. That's what they try to do.
One child per person.
They try to do that in Cuba and it failed.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it can happen. It's not realistic. I understand that. Like I ain't even trying to. I'm just trolling.
Doctors being paid the same as people that work in the fields. That's what happened in Cuba, and it just was. Horrible. Yeah. It's like. Okay,
that's because humans are like no one's as nice as they appear. But either way,
not even jumping into that.
Yeah, either way,
I'm communist.
Either way, I love my education, but college is a scam.
Yeah, it definitely is a scam because there's so many students I know that's in school. Like, oh my god, they don't even go to class, do this, and they'll get their diploma. Right. What does that say for the guy that's the woman that's 100 times smarter than her? They diploma, and they just couldn't afford it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't say anything.
Happens every day. But
I think it's just about perspective.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
because there is somebody in college with a diploma that's 100 times smarter than the person that's sitting at home. So it's both.
Yeah, it goes both ways. You can't let the paper define you, regardless.
That is true.
But
character is more important.
Yeah, for sure. But either way, I think that's.
Sorry, look at myself.
Oh my god,
this was a good one, man. We got deep into that.
Yeah. I knew you wouldn't agree with me on half the things, so.
Yeah, I had to throw little curveballs in it.
I guess, but yeah, I mean, what you looking forward to in the next 2 weeks?
I'm looking for the Cultivate takeover, which will be happening soon, where we're just gonna take over the world. So that'll be happening soon. I'm looking forward to a new video of the Nomad dropping on Thursday.
Yes, part 2.
Part 2. If you didn't see the first one,
go check our YouTube. Reach Inside, Cultivate Everyone. It's a great video of our road trip.
Go sub up.
So part 2 is coming this week.
Part 3 will be next week, and then Deja has her own vlog dropping very, very soon after. So
yes,
popping those out.
Yeah.
Anything from you? Looking forward to something?
Not really. I mean,
you're not looking forward to anything.
Not really.
A new TV show, a new movie. I'm looking forward to Oppenheimer. Hopefully, I get to see that.
See, stuff like that should not be made.
Okay.
But I'm cooling right now. I'm not really. I'm looking forward to rest.
Okay, that's real.
Rest, honestly, just that's rest. Real. So, yeah, that's it.
Cool. I mean.
Yeah.
Guess we call it there.
Follow us on Instagram at Kung Fu Dre.
Oh yeah. And let me think of this. D.E.JAVUU.
Yeah.
Go do that now and follow all our pages, all that blah 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 blah.
Yeah, we'll be back
next Tuesday at 6:30.
Okay. What do you mean more competition, Kiana? What are you talking about? More competition. That's what you're looking forward to? I don't know.
Don't matter what you're saying. It's time to go.
Oh my gosh. All right, y'all. We love y'all.
You do
Peace.
That one. You do that one.
I heard you.
We'll see y'all later.